Okay. And we are live. Okay. Here we go. It is 12:30. It is Tuesday. That means it is Time Out Tuesday. Today is episode 37. 37 straight weeks of coming to you live at, it was previously at 3:30, but now 12:30, but I don't know if that makes too much of a difference. Coming to you live weekly, Time Out Tuesday. Before I get started today, I just want to take a quick minute to express our sympathies and of course, condolences to anybody that was, everybody that was directly or indirectly affected by the events of 17 years ago. We have many friends and neighbors, family members that were directly affected by the events of 9/11 17 years ago. We have many families at the martial arts school, at Millennium Martial Arts, that also were directly affected very negatively and in some cases permanently by the events of 9/11. And so we want to just express our sympathies and recognize those families today. Moving into Time Out Tuesday, the topic today was, did you really stop progressing? And like is often the case, I often notice things when they triangulate. In this particular case, I had one observation and two conversations in the past week that caused me to give some thought to the concept of progress and measuring it. So, in the case of the two stories, it was two separate students, completely different age brackets. And in both those cases, the conversation was kind of in passing, and it was sort of a concern in one case that they were unable to measure their progress over a longer period of time, they felt. And in the other case, it was actually over a very short period of time. The statement was, we haven't seen as much progress in the last couple of weeks. Then, completely separate from those two conversations, I had observed something in class. And, the story basically is that since March of this year, I had been talking an awful lot as it relates to self-defense about a couple of different topics. And the topics are not particularly important for the purpose of this conversation. It has to do with targets and how to go about striking them and finding targets. And again, not particularly important. But it's something that we've been drilling and talking about, having a lot of conversation about, and infusing it into lots of our training. And then this past week, during a sort of an open practice session with some of our more advanced students, I was watching them. They're our Black Belt Club students, so they're kids that have been with us for maybe 3, 4, 5 years in some cases. They're our more advanced children ranks, and they were doing some sort of open floor practice, practicing some free-form self-defense. And I was just observing from afar, watching what they were going to come up with, seeing how fluid they were, how they developed their skill set over time, and where they're deriving their tactics. And I was very fascinated to watch many of them executing techniques that were clearly based on the conversations around the targets and the acquisition of those targets. And I was happy to see that, and it occurred to me that I'm observing them doing that, but I wonder if they even know that this has been built into their toolbox of things that they know how to do. And then I had these other two conversations about progress. And something occurred to me. One could argue that there was actually a fourth conversation that took place here as well. And it had to do completely with a call that I was on that had to do more with the business side of things. And that particular call had to do with what's called KPIs, key performance indicators. Most businesses have some set of values that they track on a regular basis to see how they're doing. Sometimes it's sales, sometimes it's about how many times the phone has rang, how many times we've made calls to people, how many customers we have, how many customers we've lost. All these kind of things give an indication of health. And no one indicator can often predict really how well you're doing or really indicate how well you're doing. You need all of this in order to kind of paint a complete picture. And I realized that that's no different from an exercise program or a martial arts program, in that if your only KPI, if your only key performance indicator is one thing, like for example in karate, progress through the belt ranking system, or in our kickboxing program, if it's only about weight loss, it's going to be very difficult under many circumstances to determine whether or not you're really advancing, because especially like for example in the case of karate, as you progress through the ranks, your progress is going to be a little bit less discernible because you're going to be testing less frequently. And to watch yourself progress over a day-to-day basis is very difficult, and very often you'll miss all the little details along the way. People that are watching you very often can see these things, but it's very difficult to see them in yourself unless you're being kind of militant about videotaping yourself every week and then going back and checking what you looked like a week ago and what you look like today. And similarly with a physical fitness program like our iKickbox fitness program, if your only indicator is weight loss, you could, come in, start taking classes, maybe even drop 10 or 15 pounds and then sort of level off, and you're still coming to lots of classes, you're still leaving in a sweat, but maybe you haven't really, you might feel that you're not losing weight anymore, therefore you're no longer progressing. But if you're not taking a look at other things, like for example, how's my cardio? How do I feel when I wake up in the morning? Is it a lot easier for me to run up and down the stairs at work, or is lifting that stuff that I've got to lift at work getting much easier? Am I generally feeling better about myself? Am I fitting into my clothing better, despite the fact that I may not be losing weight? Remember, we one of the key performance indicators should be your strength. If your muscles are growing and you're getting stronger, your weight may be kind of balancing out because you're not losing as much weight. Maybe you're even putting on a couple of pounds of muscle. That's a distinct possibility. And similarly with martial arts, there are many factors that come into play. I'm sorry, I'm just waiting for someone to say, don't come barging into my backyard in the middle of my video. There are many factors that come into play with martial arts that have nothing to do with whether you're advanced in belt ranking. You may be just simply getting stronger, being able to do more push-ups, doing all kinds of other things that you never thought you were able to do, and those should be part of your key performance indicators. So, in any case, I did want to point out that you should be looking for multiple things to help you figure out how you're doing, and any one item can definitely kind of bum you out if, for example, you're moving through the ranks and all of a sudden you're practicing something that you've known for like a year or two, and then somebody comes up and says, hey, you can fix that by doing this, this, and this. That could be a little bit demoralizing unless you realize that we're always trying to step up a little bit better. So if you're able to do 20 push-ups in a kickboxing class, and that's really awesome, well, let's see if you can do better push-ups. Can you go lower? Can you go deeper? Can you get 21 in the next 30 seconds rather than the 20? So always trying to step things up a little bit so that you don't get too happy with where you are, because in a couple of weeks from now, you're going to look back to where you are today and think, oh man, if I haven't improved since then, maybe I'm not improving at all. And we want to try to find all the different ways that you're improving and other ways that you're struggling so we can overcome those obstacles. So in any case, key performance indicators, if you need help trying to figure out how you're doing, go find an instructor or go find a coach and have them take a look at what it is that you're concerned about and have them help you find ways of measuring whether you're succeeding or plateauing, or maybe you're even hit into a valley a little bit, which happens from time to time when we're trying to do something, especially things that are difficult. We hit our peaks and valleys, and we need those to kind of help us figure out, if we're, constantly going up, sort of like a stock market, tends to go up and down, but over time it goes up. Well, that's what we hope for too in our fitness programs, our martial arts programs. So anyway, that's it. Key performance indicators, look for them, find them, track them on a daily basis. It'll help you understand how you're dealing with things in general. I'm going to wrap up right now. It is a nice, beautiful day out for a change. It's been a little bit nasty out, so we're going to suck the last bit of summer out, I guess, if we can. what else? Let's see if there's anything I got to announce. We got a couple of parent night outs coming up this month. We have 2 in September. Our next test date is October 15th, so we're October 13th rather. So we're beginning to gear our students up for that again. Other than that, that's it. I hope everyone makes it a really great day today, and I will see you at the dojo. Peace. Oh, I'm still alive. I was just told. Look. Ooh, hi. Hope I didn't do anything weird. I've been sitting here messing with my phone. Bye.